Good morning. Welcome to my Journey with Prostate Cancer, week 7. This morning, we're going to talk about 3 things. One, obviously, is the first chemo treatment, which is the main topic of the day. But for you ladies, we're going to talk about hot flashes. And then, of course, we're going to talk about the post-chemo side effects that I can expect. And to be perfectly honest, folks, going into this now, I'm just a little shy of 24 hours since the first chemo treatment, and I'm feeling fine so far. So that's obviously a good sign. I'm a little hoarse this morning. I'm not sure if that's a result of that or a result of being out in the cold weather. I don't know, but I'm a little hoarse today. So the other thing, I tried to. My plan was to do this video from the Pearson Cancer Center, actually yesterday now, but because of you're in these little cubicles, open air cubicles, where you're actually getting the infusion, and there are a lot of other patients nearby, so I didn't want to, number one, talk very long or very loud to keep from bothering other patients. So I did a couple little clips there as we were doing the first chemo treatment, which I'll be playing as we go. But first, for the ladies, and most of you guys that are watching this are males, because you searched for prostate cancer and you came across this journal, and you're interested possibly in why I'm doing this and what I'm going through, and to help you perhaps in what you're going to go through. So a lot of my audience still are ladies, and obviously you don't have to deal with prostate cancer unless your husband / boyfriend / significant other is going through this. However, most of you know from a couple, I guess it was last week, I had my first Lupron injection, which is part of the hormone therapy in the treatment of prostate cancer, which the whole concept behind that is that it limits my testosterone production. The testosterone feeds the tumors, which causes them to grow. You limit that production, hopefully they shrink. So one of the side effects to the Lupron is that you could have hot flashes. Of course, I teased that my boobs might grow, all those things. But the main one is hot flashes. Now, ladies, I have dealt with women through my lifetime several times going through your hot flashes. It's a natural hormonal thing from your end as you reach a certain age. And we don't need to go into that any further because I would just show my ignorance. But most recently, my niece, who is, in her 50s, it's that time of life. And so she has tremendous hot flashes, and I just kind of sit back and make fun of her. Well, night before last, I found out what a hot flash is. And it was a hot flash from hell. So, and it came on in just no time, and wham, I was sweating, shaky, literally sweat pouring off of me. And I'm trying to keep all these things, where they inserted in my neck, they inserted down below the thing, and the ports, that's where the port is right there. And the insertion point is down here. So I've got to keep all that dry. That's why I can't take a shower. That's why I can't wash my hair until Thursday, 7 days. But all of a sudden I'd had dinner. I'd come back in my room. I had a Diet Coke, or I probably had a big glass of water because I'm doing a lot of fluids for yesterday's first infusion of the chemo. And I had a hot flash. Ladies, I understand now what you've been going through for hundreds of years. They're nasty. I mean to tell you. And guys, if they tell you you might get hot flashes, hope you don't, because it is amazing how hot it got, girls. And that lasted several hours. And that was, I mean, I tell you, it felt like my temperature was 140. I've had one since, not a bad one, but I've had a second one since then that I had actually yesterday afternoon. Wasn't bad like the night before. And I don't know how much this, the hell I might go on forever, because they're a kicker. So ladies, I understand. I now will be much nicer to my niece when she has her hot flashes, and I won't make near as much fun of, although she liked them. She decided not to watch TV. She came in my room and wanted to watch me. So, but that's just the way we are. Anyway, hot flashes they're tough. All right, so let's get to the important part of this week's journal. And by the way, folks, if you're new to this channel, welcome aboard. We're going to cover these 3 topics today. If you have not subscribed, please do so. We cover, of course, my prostate cancer journey is roughly once a week, depending on what happens in the schedule. And it's as honest as I can be on the good, the bad, and the ugly through this whole process. But if you have not subscribed to this channel, please do so. And you'll also get some information if you subscribe about my travel stuff. I do travel and cruise industry news 3 days a week live. Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I do videos on all facets of the travel and cruise industry. I'm a cruise specialist myself, but I've done a lot of other travel, and I've got additional travel coming up here as soon as I can get the vaccine and get going with travel again. And so I'm not on total lockdown because of my age and my health conditions. And I'm going to start emphasizing in all of my travel, the accessible end of travel for folks that have obvious disabilities or mobility issues. As we get older, folks, if you're not having any of those issues, you can still walk. The amount of time it requires, like if you're going on a cruise, the amount of distance and time it takes to stand and walk and stand in lines and all those kind of things. If you can do it, great. I can't anymore. About 20 yards is it as far as walking goes. So I have sincere mobility issues, and I'm going to start emphasizing more in my travel information, the accessibility for whether it's lightly disabled like I am with just mobility issues on up to the severely disabled and what they have to go through to be able to travel as well. So we're going to do a lot more emphasis on that. Doesn't mean that I'm not going to be putting up information on just purely on a cruise ship and the food on a cruise ship or service or any of those things, but it's going to have a little bit different slant. So please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Hit that little button down there below. You'll be notified when I go live or when a new video is posted. And as always, folks, and sometimes I forget to tell you about this, but it helps me a lot with this channel if you give me thumbs up. That tells YouTube that you're actually watching and paying attention to what I'm saying. And not that you have to pay attention, but give them a thumbs up, and that makes them feel better anyway. So that's it from the business end of things. As always, there'll be information in the description of the video below about what's in it and all the links to get back to me and Facebook and all those things. You'll also see a link for donations to this channel through my PayPal account. We found out that people that buy sponsors, buy the super chats to help channels like mine out as far as the expense goes, YouTube takes a tremendous portion of that. As a result, it's more of the money that you're donating goes to me if you go through the PayPal account. So I generally put a link to the PayPal account somewhere down in the description below also. So just getting that business out of the way. All right, let's get started on the chemo lessons from yesterday.
Hey, Chillie, welcome to my Journey with Prostate Cancer, week number 7. Coming to you today from the Pearson Cancer Center in Lynchburg, Virginia, where I'm about to undergo my first chemotherapy. The nurses have been coming in and out, and we got everything set up and ready to go. Waiting for the doctor to stop in and put her final stamp of approval on it, and then we start the chemo. The infusion itself will last about an hour. I'll be here a total of about 3 hours total today. So I'm going to do a couple little clips in the way so I don't bother other patients that are here in these little cubicles. So I'm trying not to talk any longer than necessary. But as we get into the chemo itself, I'll be able to tell you exactly what it's like and what it's doing. So I'll be back in a bit. This is Chillie from the Pearson Cancer Center in Lynchburg.
Okay, and that was, it was probably about a half hour, 45 minutes later before we actually got down to the business at hand. I had to wait for the doctor, and the doctor came in for a few minutes, and she had to order up the pre-meds. There was all kinds of pre-med stuff that I had to take for allergy, possibility of being allergic to the stuff, on a little advance, hoping that I won't have nausea, all kinds of stuff. And most of it was done directly into the port. A couple things I found out about the port, folks. That I was scared to death yesterday going in there because I'm thinking, man, this is going to hurt like hell, because where the port is itself, I mean, it's put in through 2 incisions in my neck over on this side. And there's one in my neck. You can see that. That's where it went in there. And then they went in down below. You can see the bump from the port. Okay. And that's where they went in below. And so that skin there, that's where the port is. So I'm thinking, okay, they're going to put a needle in there, an IV needle, and it's got to hurt like hell. So I was a little worried about it. And, my sleeping is terrible to start with. I mean, I'm lucky if I get 3 hours sleep at a time. Before all this happened, it was because I had to get up every hour to go pee. And so I was all night long. So that just disturbed my sleep. So I've been a terrible sleeper for years, despite taking trazodone every night. That's supposed to be a sleep aid. Well, anyway, so then I get worried about something, and it's worse. Well, I was a little worried about this one, it was not anticipating very well. So I didn't sleep at all, hardly, the night before. But mainly it was because, man, this is going to hurt. I don't like pain. Well, we actually got in there, and the first thing because they had to take a bunch of meds. Okay. And they do that through the port. So I don't have to get stuck numerous times in all the veins anymore. So part of my instruction was you put lidocaine cream on the port itself an hour beforehand, which is roughly, so before I left the house, I put it on, I covered it up a little bit, and then I drove across town to the Pearson Cancer Center. And of course, by the time you go through the check-in stuff, there's another 15 or 20 minutes before I actually got up to the chemo lounge. I call it the chemo lounge. They call it the infusion center. So I got up to the chemo lounge, and the nurse came in, and the first thing she does is, okay, we're going to have to insert this. And I said, oh, okay. And she says, now I want you to count 3. I'm going to count 3, and you take a deep breath. And I'm thinking, and then it's going to hurt like hell. So she goes, 1, 2, 3. And I go, and she said, done. I never felt a thing. Not a thing. I mean, it was like this. That was it. Like just that simple. And I thought, wow, is that cool? And then, of course, she immediately hooked up the little things to pull. They had to draw a bunch of blood. And then one of the studies that they're doing on genetics, they had to draw some blood for that later on. And then they take all the vitals and all the stuff you got to do. And you have to sign waivers every time. And, you know, they don't want you to tell this, but you got to sign a waiver that says basically, look, we're hoping to kill as much of this as possible without killing you. And basically that's what chemo is. And I know going in, they're not going to kill all of it. I'm going to have to deal with prostate cancer the way it's spread in my body for the rest of my life. There's no way they're going to get it all because it's everywhere. I mean, I got it up and down my spine. I've got it in my groins. I've got it in my chest. I've got it in my lungs. So it's going to be there. The thing is to make me as comfortable as possible for the longest amount of time possible, which will hopefully still be a good, nice, long life. So that's what we're shooting for. So you got the waivers to sign that crap every time they do something. Yeah, so that's okay. So we did that. The cocktail itself, the chemo itself is docetaxel. It's also known as Taxiderm. It's a well-known treatment for prostate cancer and some other things. There are side effects, a bunch of side effects. We'll talk about that after this. But here's the second little clip from the Pearson Cancer Center.
Hey, Chillie, the Fat Travel Guy, back with you. We're into the important step for the day. We're actually, I've turned on the spigot and the stuff is heading into my system. This is my first chemo treatment on my journey with prostate cancer, week number 7. I've been through all the pre-med things before you have the treatment. I've talked with the doctor, talked with the guy doing the studies. They've drawn a bunch of blood. Accessing the port was a piece of cake. It was absolutely nothing. They've pulled out several tubes of blood for further testing and so forth. We've been through a waiting period, and now the actual chemo is going in, and I feel at this point absolutely nothing. There could be some side effects over the short term. If they are fine, if they're not, they're fine. And of course, the long-term side effects, we'll continue teasing about those and about my hair and so forth. But anyway, piece of cake. I love these people to death. They're so fabulous to work with. This is by far the best choice I could have made with the situation as it is. Okay, I'm trying to be as quiet as possible, and I'll get off this because there's a bunch of other patients here and I don't want to disturb them. So I will put this all together and make a full-length video when I get home here this afternoon. And so we'll see you then. You guys have a great day. This is Chillie from the Pearson Cancer Center Chemo Lounge is what I'm calling it. Later, y'all.
The other thing you'll notice, folks, that I'm being forced to do is I gotta wear zippered things. They are not. It's the wrong side. The reverse is looking at my screen. They don't bother this until it heals up. That's going to change. I'll be back to wearing t-shirts and stuff soon, except when I have to go for access into the port, and then I got to go back to the zippered sweatshirts. But I will be back in shirts soon. I hope, because I hate wearing zippered stuff all the time. But that's going to change. The pain is going to go away. It's not near as bad as it was the first couple of days after they inserted the port in. I leaned down to brush my teeth day before yesterday, and I put my arm down on the sink to bend over to brush my teeth, and the pain through the chest was awful. I called my friend who's kind of coaching me through all this, got her out of bed. I said, "Oh my God, did I just cut my jugular in half?" But I didn't. She said, "No, that in time it goes away. So you don't have the pain from silly stuff." Of course, I'm sure I can't do a lot of things that I did in my normal activity because I still got this big chunk of stuff in my chest. But hopefully that part of things will get back to normal. Okay, side effects. We've got to talk about side effects. I think it's about 18 pages of possible side effects from this chemo. And there's really, it can be, I mean, they tell you side effects from, I mean, your toenails might turn green. Well, they don't turn green, but I mean, they go down to all kinds of minor things that may or may not happen. The big things I got to worry about, in all probability, at some point in time, I'm going to lose my hair. Now, as you can tell, it's dirty and it's messy, but that's from not showering since Thursday. And I can't shower till this Thursday. But so far, I haven't lost any hair. Now, I'm liable to get in the shower Thursday morning and then it all comes out. I don't know. I am definitely going to have at some point in time through this, I'll have the Kojak look. I'll probably even get a lollipop to suck on. So that's coming up. Am I going to wear a wig? No. Am I going to wear hats? Probably. But then that's me. I can't see me wearing a wig. No, thank you. So if I'm going to be bald for the best part of a year, I'll be bald. A lot of men do it now, and they look wonderful. I don't think I'm going to look wonderful because I've always had nice hair, or reasonably nice for my age. I'm going to lose my hair. The other major side effect is nausea. And that can come and go. It could have started already. So far it hasn't. I have 2 different prescriptions that they had me fill beforehand to have on hand that I start taking the minute I start feeling nauseous. Man, so far I haven't at all. Knock on wood. Maybe I won't. You never can tell. I'm sure at some point in time through this process, it's going to happen. I don't know when. Last night I decided, man, I've been through a major thing today. I want a nice steak dinner. So when we of course we don't go to restaurants in my household because there's 3 of us that are too old. So Amanda went to our favorite restaurant that we use for birthdays and things. And we have 2 that we split up with birthdays and special celebrations. And I had a nice steak dinner for dinner last night, which was wonderful. It was delicious, and I was just in the mood for it. And then, oddly enough, I came back after dinner. I came back in the chair and fell asleep until about midnight. So I slept through a good bit of the evening last night, which was probably because I hadn't slept any the night before. And of course, I've been up since now, but that's, again, back in my crazy sleeping habit. I'll probably go take a nap. I've got my show this morning, but as I'm taping this, it's still really early. So I might even take a nap and then come back and set up the show later on yet still. But that's neither here nor there. All right, so nausea is definitely going to, at some point in time, that's going to be something that affects me. The one thing that I've been kind of had a hunger for, oddly enough, other than steak dinner last night, was chocolate pudding. So I got Amanda to get me the little cups of chocolate pudding that you get at the grocery store. I'm not a shopper, folks, so I'm not real good at what they are. But this little cuppy thing. And it's a nice thing. It just sweet tooth and tastes good and just seemed like something that maybe even if I get nauseous that I'll want to eat. Because I know I got to put some kind of food in I got to feed this fat body. So at this point, I don't know. I don't have an answer to that one. So that's going to be an ongoing thing on down the road. The other possibility, folks, is, and excuse the directness of this, is diarrhea or constipation. Now, I mean, you can go either way. So, and so far, and typically, I have a tendency to be on the constipation side of things. So I'm a little bit concerned about that. They have specific over-the-counter meds that they want you to take, like that little chocolate X-like thingies that you chew on. That's not one of them. I forget what it is, but that's on this list. It's an 18-page list of side effects. And they tell you what to get in that. So if I start having those kind of problems, that's one thing. The other thing that's interesting about this is sort of interesting is you have very specific bathroom instructions. Now, that might sound strange, but it in fact is the case. Chemo is a poison. Like I said earlier, they're killing as much of the cancer as they can without it killing me. But all this stuff that they put in this hour infusion, a bag of poison that's put in my system, it's got to come out. So they tell you must flush the toilet at least twice every time you use it. Now that's even for urinating. In my case, since I'm still in the Foley catheter, which hopefully the 23rd I'll be able to get out of the catheter. That would be wonderful, because that would get me back where on days that I feel like it, I can drive. I can't drive because I have trouble getting in and out of the truck that pulls, and it's uncomfortable. I have trouble getting in and out of cars too, but my truck is more of a step up and pull up, and that pulls even worse. And that's the only reason I can't drive. I don't drive right now. That plus if have taken some pain meds or something, it shouldn't be driving. But to tell you to flush the toilet. And the other thing is you got to keep animals out of the bathroom totally, because, even like where I'm brushing my teeth and stuff, and spitting out, can have some poison in it. So that could give you some in the sink that you got to be very careful about cleaning the sink, in the shower, because some of it can come out in sweat, and you're washing it off of your body when I get in the shower on Thursday. So these are all things. So they have really specific bathroom instructions, which I found kind of fascinating. But you want to make sure the poison is not left around to bother people. Obviously, if you get any of it splashed on your hands, you need to disinfect your hands, which we do so much that, our hands are all dried out anyway. But that's a regular thing for me. So that's not a problem. We have a little jug of soap in the bathroom, disinfectant soap, that we use just for that purpose. So that's the other thing that's interesting. So that's the side effects. And there's a lot of other ones. If I have any side effects from this, I will report on that. But for now, that's what I'm looking at. And for now, folks, I feel perfectly good. I have no fatigue. That's the other possible side effect, is you have fatigue afterwards. And it might hit me an hour from now. It might hit me tomorrow. Who knows? My thinking is it could be up to, I have one of the meds I have to take ahead of time is to avoid fluid retention. And that's taken for 3 days, 1 day ahead and 2 days after. So I actually take those pills today, and tonight, and then that's off. So I'm thinking at least through tomorrow, I could have side effects. I could be totally wrong. It might not hit me till next week, but I mean, it's possible that I could have some side effects for this. We'll just have to wait and see. For now, knock on wood, I feel great. So that's going to wrap me up for this week, guys. Thank you for being with me. I hope this is doing some of you some good. It's doing me a lot of good just to talk about it. So I will continue with a weekly report. And like I say, that's it from now. We will see you next time on my journey with prostate cancer. Don't forget, give us a like, hit the subscribe button. We'd appreciate it. See you soon.